Golf Central on YouTube is brought to you by the new Paradigm Woods and Irons from Callaway.
Hello, I'm Anna Jackson, and this is your Golf Central update. Well, this week will be the 82nd playing of the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. 7 different courses have been used for the event over the years. You've got Pebble Beach, and like a lot of Northern California, it has seen a heavy rainfall over the past month. There's been some minor damage at other courses on the Monterey Peninsula. So with that, I'm very pleased to welcome in John Sawin, Vice President and Director of Golf at Pebble Beach. John, good to see you. I mean, California has seen some really destructive and extreme weather, heavy rain, flooding since the beginning of the year. How extensive has the damage been to Pebble, if any?
Yeah, we were very fortunate around here that we didn't get it as bad as many other places did around us. So we are grateful for that and sympathetic, obviously, to those who did have it worse than us. But the day that video from Monterey Peninsula Country Club hit the internet, I certainly got a lot of concerned emails, texts, and phone calls. But we didn't suffer anything like that at our golf courses and made it through pretty clean.
Yeah, you're right. That content was just pretty shocking to see. But it looks in general like the biggest issue that has just been really the amount of water that the area has suffered. How did you deal with the extreme sort of rain and the wet that Pebble Beach would have received during that time?
Yeah, you're right. Starting the second week of December, the following 6 weeks, we received basically our year's worth of rainfall, just over 17 inches in the 6-week period. So that made the turf very wet, but we kept the golf courses open. Our guests continued to play as normal and brought home some amazing experiences while they were here. And it took a lot of dedication from our amazing staff to make that happen. The turf was too wet to get big, heavy equipment on for a couple of weeks, in fact. So anything we used to mow with a riding piece of equipment, we had to hand mow. The fairways were still being hand mowed every 3-4 times a week, and the roughs were out there being hand mowed. So just an amazing effort from our team. The guys were walking 12 to 15 miles a day, pushing a mower around, and nobody complained. Everybody answered the bell, and just amazing pride that they take in their work and dedication to the property to get us to where we are today.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of what comes with having such a stunning coastal course. You know, Mother Nature, you do not mess with her, that is for sure. Now, John, as we get ready for the Pro-Am, always such a highlight on the golfing calendar, can you give the viewers just a bit of a description as to what goes into preparing the course for a week like this?
Yeah, well, it really starts at this time last year. As soon as the event is finished, we put together our lessons learned and map out a game plan for what we want to improve for the following year, and then we execute to that game plan. And in this past year, we did a lot of work to the golf course. We renovated all 117 sand bunkers, new sand, checked all the liner and drainage, installed some drip irrigation around those bunkers. We also renovated the 8th green. I think a lot of people saw that project. We went from having 1 hole location in the middle of that green to now having 6 hole locations that we look forward to showcasing this week throughout the course of the competition. And then leading up to it, obviously the challenges that we had with the weather, but that's when the experience of our staff really shows through, and they know exactly what to do. They know where we have pressure and issues. They know how to deal with salt water pressure in, say, the 18th hole and the 17th green. And the guys are so committed. They're out there with hoses flushing that salt through, be it 6 a.m. or 10 p.m. And I'm just so grateful to all the hard work that they put in to get us to where we are today.
Yeah, it's, of course, a regular stop on the PGA Tour and an absolute fan favourite. The views, there is just nothing quite like it in the game, John. And this will be the first of 2 professional tournaments at Pebble Beach this year. For the first time in history, the Women's US Open will be coming to Pebble in early July, which is so unbelievably exciting. What kind of differences will the fans see from this week to the upcoming Women's Championship?
Yeah, we're so excited to have the Women's Open, first time ever here, 4th of July week, and the excitement is building in the community. The plans are in place, and ticket sales are going extremely well. The unique thing about the AT&T is that the male amateurs are going to play very similar set of tees to what the women professionals will play in July, about 6,500 yards. The fairways are still at resort width today for the AT&T, but starting next Monday after the championship, after the AT&T concludes, we will begin the process of converting our fairway widths to championship widths. And so by the time that the players get here in July, they'll see a more precise requirement off the tee, and things will obviously be firmer in the summer than they are today. But otherwise, it's still the same great golf course that the men have enjoyed for many years, and now the women will have their chance on the world's biggest stage.
They certainly will, John, and it is a week that we are so looking forward to in the women's game. Well, we are delighted to hear that Pebble has stood up against everything that has been thrown its way so far this year. We can't wait for this week, John, and thanks so much for your time.
Great. Thanks, Anna. Great to chat with you.
Well, it is, of course, one of the most iconic venues in all of sport. Pebble Beach opened back in 1919, six-time host of the US Open, most recently back in 2019, five-time host of the US Amateur, and, of course, it hosts tournaments every year on the PGA Tour and the PGA Tour Champions. And as we talked about with John, the US Women's Open will be heading there this summer for the very first time. Well, not a bad field on the Monterey Peninsula. You've got Jordan Spieth, one of the headliners. He won here back in 2017. You've also got US Open champ Matt Fitzpatrick and Victor Hovland will both be in the field, neither of whom have played since Kapalua. Plus, Seamus Power, he's having a pretty strong fall back at the end of last year, up to 28th in the world, and Tom Hoge will be defending his title. Well, let's take you back to last year's event, perhaps the most memorable shot of the year. Spieth nearly sent his ball into Stillwater Cove. However, his ball ended up in the penalty area, less than a foot from the cliffs. From there, Spieth very carefully hit his approach shot, a 7-iron from 155 yards over the green before getting up and down to save par. So with more on the 8th hole this year, we send it out to Todd Lewis.
Well, that's a long ways down, and you understand why Jordan Spieth was so fearful hitting this shot from here, a 7-iron to that green. In hindsight, Jordan wished he hadn't hit the shot. He wished he'd listened to his caddy, Michael Greller, taken a drop, and then hit from outside the penalty area. Could a ball land here again? Yes, but the odds of a Spieth-like shot happening this year are very, very slim for several reasons. Number one, look how thick this vegetation is here. If a ball lands here and a pro thinks, man, I could try to go at the green, he's probably not going to be able to advance it out of this thick stuff here. Secondly, the marker that marks the penalty area, this red line here, it's been moved closer to the cliff, meaning that it's unlikely a ball could land in this tiny little area compared to where the marker was, probably 5 or 6 feet further towards the tee last year. And there's one other thing. The rough prior to the penalty area has grown up as well. It's very healthy, very thick, and that would likely slow down a ball as it made its way to the cliff. But that's not the only tweak here at number 8. This is a green here at the 8th, and it's considered one of the smallest greens on the PGA Tour, but there is a little more room this year. Last year, Pebble Beach actually redid the entire green, reducing the pitch. There is still some slope from back to front, but it's not as severe. And as far as usable square footage for hole locations, well, now it's roughly doubled, meaning that there are more options for the PGA Tour and rules officials. Don't be surprised if you see a back right hole location for the final round on Sunday. So the 8th hole here, hitting it from there to this green, it's beautiful with the water to your right, and you understand why Jack Nicklaus said that this is the greatest approach shot in the game of golf.